little while ago, I made a video talking about my opinions and views on smartwatches based on my experience with them. I think I may have pissed Mobvoi off a bit with my opinions about the TicWatch 2. A few months after that video, the TicWatch Pro launched and I sent an email to Mobvoi wondering if maybe I could get a review sample with no reply. Not exactly unexpected with how harsh I may have been in that video. After doing some research on smartwatches for quite some time, I decided to purchase the TicWatch Pro and I've been using it on and off for quite a while now. After really giving smartwatches a try, I have a few more things to say. Before we get into those, I'd like to firstly talk about the watch. Mobvoi is a company that seemed to come out of nowhere, and their TicWatch is now one of the dominating brands when it comes to smartwatches. When I was first contacted by this brand, they weren't really paired with any OS besides base Android. With their new watches, we now have access to Wear OS, as well as the Mobvoi store from before, giving you access to almost infinite watch faces, customizations, and apps from Google Play. This was one thing that I didn't like before about the TicWatch 2. Don't get me wrong, running Android is nice all around, but being out of the Google loop leaves you with a very basic product, and it seems Mobvoi took that into consideration without hesitation. On to the watch. This smartwatch has a standard round design, which I prefer over any other watch out there. I don't know if it's more about the style for me or the way the watch feels on my arm, but square watches like the Apple Watch and rectangular ones like Fitbit never felt as nice for me to wear. The screen is a multi-touch AMOLED with a resolution of 400 by 400. The casting is stainless steel and carbon fiber, and yes, I have bumped this watch into stuff before and it can take a beating. The watch is very sturdy and seems as though it can be put through a lot before it starts to show any damage. The CPU is the Qualcomm Snapdragon Wear 2100, internal storage is 4GB, 512MB of RAM, and no card or SIM slot to increase storage or add LTE. It also boasts a 415mAh battery, which does this watch very well. Mobvoi really optimized the watch specifically to save on battery with a smart mode which turns the AMOLED display off, revealing only the LCD screen, making the battery life last about 2 to 4 days, and then an essential mode which turns all of the smart features from the watch off completely, giving you around 30 days of use without charging. When I took my first trip to Vietnam, I was here for 47 days. I charged this watch once before I left, turned on the essential mode, and charged it one more time 2 weeks before going home. Mobvoi really thought outside the box when it came to battery optimization, and though they aren't the only ones to do it, it's something that a lot of other smartwatches should think about implementing in my opinion. The watch is IP68 waterproof, meaning it can resist 1.5 meters of water for roughly 30 minutes. Rain doesn't touch this thing, which I feel is essential for any smartwatch. Other features that you may care about but I don't necessarily need to go into are accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetic sensor, PPG heart rate sensor, ambient light sensor, low latency off-body sensor, GPS, call and messaging notifications, Google Play, Google Pay, Google Fit support, pedometer, music, map, browser, NFC payment, speed and cadence monitor, calorie count, step count, and more. The watch comes in a couple different colors and styles, and yes, the band is replaceable. The default band is made of 2 different materials, the top being Italian leather for that classy, stylish look, and silicone underneath similar to an exercise band for sweat resistance, durability, breathability, and comfortability. Or so they boast. I for one like the band and have had no reason to replace it. The attention to detail on this smartwatch is what made me decide to pick it over other brands, which is the topic that I'd like to jump into next. When I was deciding what smartwatch to get, I went back and forth a lot. I know I didn't want an Apple Watch since I mostly run Android devices. I knew I wasn't really interested in Samsung since they've restricted features in the past based on if you have a Samsung phone or not. The Samsung Galaxy Watch, however, is beautiful and I really did think about it. That twisty face is a very convenient way of scrolling through apps, which is one thing Mobvoi didn't really seem to consider on this watch. You can use gestures, but that tickle side they had on the TicWatch 2 is gone and is sincerely missed by me. Not that I don't have enough real estate to scroll through apps and the watch is responsive enough that it's not a big deal, but I do like my unnecessary effects, gosh darn it, they're creative. After doing some research for a solid 3 days, I ended up with a notification on Instagram about the TicWatch Pro sale. Yeah, that whole spying on everything we say to improve adverts for us is kinda creepy, but it came in handy and sent me over the edge for this watch. Normally I don't fall into those traps, but this was the watch that I was looking for the most, and I wanted to give Mobvoi another try. So how have I been liking it so far? Last time I had a lot of complaints that I'd like to touch on, with most of them centered around one question. Why wouldn't I just use my phone? See, the thing I didn't realize back then was when you live in a city like Medford, Oregon, you have a lot of time on your hands. When I got notifications, I could just check them, reply to them, and move on. Now that I'm here in Vietnam, the city that never stops, the whole smartwatch experience has changed for me. First of all, the fact that the Google Play Store is here on this watch is amazing. Having access to music, media, audiobooks, podcast calendars, and messaging apps from the flick of a wrist is incredibly quick. When someone sends me a message, I have the ability to tell Google what to say back, which before I had to rely on Mobvoi's voice recognition. It wasn't bad at all, but competing against Google is a bit of a task. Being able to listen to music is easier. Have a pair of headphones on, don't like the song, I look at my watch and I skip it. Get a text in the rain or on the back of a motorbike or driving a car and I can check my wrist and see if it's important enough to do anything about it. Taking notes is very easy. I just tell the watch what I needed to remember and it'll send the notes to my phone so I have it in both locations. I actively have to keep track of my calorie intake and steps these days. You walk a lot in Vietnam, and knowing how active I am, how many steps I take per day is useful information. Checking the time here can be dangerous. You're on the side of the road, you whip out your phone to check the time, and someone on a motorbike snatches your phone out of your hands. Or you lift your arm. I think I just got into smartwatches without having a lifestyle that smartwatches are built for. Fast pace, on the go, now. The funny thing is when I got back home from my vacation to Vietnam, I never used the watch. When I went to the UK, I brought this with me and almost never put it on. It seems, at least for me, the only time that I would use a smartwatch is in the situation that I'm in now. And I have to eat my words. Before I said that if someone told me that a smartwatch changed their life, I wouldn't believe them. Now don't get me wrong here, the smartwatch is not a save-all resource. If I didn't have it, I still wouldn't need it. But I can't deny that it has had an impact on my more fast-paced lifestyle. And it makes me wonder if I'm still not utilizing the smartwatch to its full potential when I'm in more laid-back situations. Either way, it's how I am and how I've been using the watch. Now let's talk about the cons. I don't exactly have much to say when it comes to smartwatches as a whole. There are smartwatches out there designed for specific people with specific needs. As far as this watch goes, I love almost everything about it. The only thing I've ever had an issue with is the CPU, or maybe it's the battery or a combination of both. Sometimes the watch takes some time to react. I don't expect smartwatches to have intense gaming GPUs or anything, but Samsung and Apple have both refined the operating system well enough on their devices that slowdown doesn't seem to be a large factor. With these third-party devices, it's not slow enough to bother me, definitely not slow enough to trade up, but it does have itself a quick think sometimes before taking action. Yeah, it's a lame con, but honestly one of the only things I can think of in terms of this watch. Mobvoi did an amazing job with this thing. It's durable, customizable, sporty, and reliable, and I've been using it for over 8 months now. Smartwatches are a hard choice these days. With so many brands and so many different functions, how can you possibly choose? I see ads on Instagram, Facebook, hell I even see billboards with smartwatches on them. I guess it's just a sign of the times.